shall we get started?
Yes.
Okay, we are officially starting now.
Now.
It's okay. So it's been a while since the last time we did
It's
this.
been a
Personally,
long time.
we've been busy, so we got some catching up to do. So why don't you go first? What have you been busy with? I know you've been partying a lot, playing board
Ooh.
games, going out every night, all this other stuff. So yeah, let's the life of a young man. Let's hear it.
Oh, the life and story of ASD. Anyway, yeah, it's been pretty good.
Okay.
Finished my probation with my current firm.
Congrats.
Whoop whoop. Finally, I can now spend a money less concernly. So,
Right. The
like
budget is opening up.
the but the
Yeah.
dam is bursting.
The coffers are overflowing.
It is time to spend.
That's right.
So,
Next time I'm gonna see you're gonna have a fur coat and those like mirror sunglasses.
oh my god, you're not half wrong.
Make it happen. Make it happen.
Oh my goodness. So yes, as part of finishing my probation, I'm able to now confidently buy like a bunch of things for my projects I've been meaning to do for a while, like coding,
Mm.
robotics stuff.
Hmm.
So bought a bunch of stuff for to upgrade my printer. So like there's like an auto leveling kit you can get for the brand that it is,
Your
Creality
3D printer.
CR10. Yeah, my 3D printer,
Yeah.
and saves me the time to like come in and hone in and adjust and like wait to see if it properly levels and then move
Mm.
on, right? This will just do it on its own, and I just like peek in once in a while to see what it's doing. If it's still going, it's fine, right? I'm also I'm currently designing like a little like hydroponics garden, so that
Cool.
I have like a bunch of like I have like a little garden for
Hmm.
me to like come in and clip off like a bunch of like little leaves here and there. And I say that because, and if my parents ever listen to this podcast,
Uh-oh.
uh, I kind of miss gardening. So,
Oh, okay.
so throughout my childhood, whenever my parents try to get me to do any yard work, I would be such a fit or throw
Hmm.
such a fit and be so pissy about it. And now,
Uh-huh.
as I look outside and all like the nice pretty flowers and in my home right now with all this vegetation around me, um,
Right.
I
Yeah. It
just
made
want
an
to just
impact on
have
you.
a. It's made an impact on me where I'm accumulating so many plants, and now that when I'm making a lot of food on my own, I realize
Hmm.
that I could just have lettuce growing in my flat. Oh,
Hmm.
how do I do that? And so it became a late night rabbit hole search, and then
That's
hydroponics.
awesome.
Yeah,
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 that's a fun project. Yeah.
super cool. It's like super easy to start too. It's wild.
Yeah, they've made it the technology is like the consumer available technology has evolved so that it's fairly easy now to get that up and running. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd
I
be
think
fun.
the only thing I really need to worry about is like the solution to the different plants that need to like consume it and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Yep.
But that's I'm sure there's instructions online and
Oh yeah.
in the whatever. So
Everything's
it's all
there.
good.
You'll get it. You'll find it.
Yeah. 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 So aside from being an absolute nerd,
Hmm.
bought a bunch of books.
Nice.
I may have bought too much books, but I never
Welcome to
ever
my
say
world. I do that.
that. So I what was I going to say? Gosh, I was saying two things at the
Bought a
same
lot of
time.
books.
Bought a lot of books, read a lot of books,
Hmm.
started to go back because I finished watching the entire first season of One Piece, the live action one on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
It is really good, like
I've
surprisingly
heard.
good.
Yeah.
And it made me like I finished at 2 a.m. last night. I just binged the whole season.
Nice. Oh,
Yeah.
it's great when you find a show like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like want me to keep on watching.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's surprised. Like some of the characters are goofy, and some are just like, oh yeah, it's a really good fit. And I don't feel like cringe watching this like I would like the Dragon Ball live action or
Uh,
whatever. We
yeah.
don't want to bring that one up. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. That's fine.
Or Stars. No, what's it? Street Fighter. Oh, the old
There's
'80s, the '90s one.
the Cowboy Bebop one too, which is more recent, but was also not very good.
Ooh, yeah, that was not. I remembered. I buried that deep in my memory.
Yeah, I watched like
That
one
was.
episode of it or something. It was pretty rough.
I couldn't even get through like half an hour of it.
Yeah, yeah, it's not great.
Not great.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and ordered a bunch of deluxe edition mangas.
Oh, okay, nice. Those are fun to
So
collect.
those are yeah.
Yeah.
So the author for Berserk, rest in peace. I think it's Kentaro Miura.
Yeah.
Um, I've enjoyed his Berserk story for such a long time, and I was
Hmm.
meaning to buy the like thick
Yeah, the
deluxe
big
edition
ones. I
books,
have
the
I
big
have one of
chonkers.
those, the number
Do you?
one. Yeah, the first one. I have that,
Mm.
but I don't
I
have.
have this one that's coming in.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome.
It just made me like sitting through One Piece. I'm just sitting on the couch, just having nostalgia coming of all
Yeah.
this Japanese
Mm-hmm.
like mangaka art like artwork and artists coming through my mind from like years back.
Mm-hmm.
So it just made me want to buy them for nostalgia's sake. So I've ordered the first Berserk novel, which is like I don't know, three arcs into it.
Yeah, 3
And
volumes or
then
something.
3 volumes, and then I bought the first volume for Full Metal Alchemist, like the
The
hardcover
Full Metal edition or whatever.
Full Metal edition.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've been looking for that. Yeah, it's
you
those
have
are
to
nice.
order it.
Yeah, I've saw them in the bookstores down in Vancouver, in like
Mm.
the one like downtown, but I haven't seen it here. But yeah, I'll
Indigo.
order it eventually. Yeah, Indigo. Yeah,
Yeah, I was there the other day. They had
this was a while ago.
12
This was
and
like
13.
over a year ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, they had. Maybe I should buy the Berserk books from there because they last time I remember they had like a full stack of them,
they
like of
do.
different
Yeah,
volumes on
but if
there.
you buy more than one, then you got to lug that home. Even in a backpack, that thing is heavy.
Worth
Those are
it.
the thick books. Yeah, for sure. It is
Knowledge.
worth it. It is worth it. Yeah. That's the part I like
Yes.
about collecting this stuff is collecting the things that are like meaningful to you, like
Hmm.
the stories that impacted you throughout your life and the things that meant a lot to you. That's what the stuff behind me on my shelf is. It's all stuff from my childhood that I want to remember or that had a big impact on me, and that's the fun of collecting it for me.
Yeah, pretty much that. And it's
Yeah.
kind of where I'm starting to fit in now a bit more too. That I have,
Nice.
I don't know, like a need or a want to go back in time and relive those moments again.
Yeah. Or just like, or
Yeah.
it's, you have it as a reminder of like the impact that those
Hmm.
stories had on you and that kind of stuff. Like it's
Hmm.
just nice.
It is nice, yeah. And also, one more thing before I jump it off to you.
Sure. Yeah. Keep going. I'm good.
All right. Another great thing I'm doing now is just spending a lot of time with different friend groups that I've made in Vancouver,
Hmm.
and just doing a bunch of, uh, oh gosh, board games, hiking,
Hmm.
doing a lot of ski, or not like, I guess it's not the right jet skiing, it's like doing and stuff like that, like doing like
Right.
a bunch of water sports.
Yeah.
I went to one of the Gulf Islands, Salt Spring Island,
Oh
not too
yeah.
long ago for just like a get together with friends I haven't seen in a while. It
Hmm.
was phenomenal. It was
That's
really
awesome.
good. Yeah. And I kind of want to maintain that going into the fall, but I have
Hmm.
to find, I don't know, like within our own circle of friends, we don't have a lot of time to sort of catch up because we're busy and we have like different schedules and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I have to find a way to just do things on my own that, or maybe just go join like a group of other people to
Right.
do it. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. That's the, um, like, for lack of a better phrase, that's the single dude life, right? Like, you do have your friends, and you get to
Hmm.
see your friends, and when the schedules align, you get to hang out with them. That's great. The nice
Mm,
thing about having a partner is that there's always someone to do those things with. If I mean,
yeah.
if it's the right partner, you can find those things to
Yes.
do together.
That's
So
the thing.
you always got someone to hang out with, which is really nice. But there's also, there's exploring on your own is a lot of fun.
I love solo traveling and
Yeah, it's
doing
cool.
things on
Yeah.
my own. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like, okay, so I'm going to transition to me now because
What about
there's a
you?
nice segue here
Mhm.
of traveling on your own. I didn't travel on
Ooh.
my own, but I did stuff on my own. So, yeah, lots has been going on in my life, which
Mhm.
is why we haven't met in the last little while. So, work has been busy. There's a
Mhm.
big undertaking that we're doing at work, which is essentially all of the infrastructure that is vital to our code base is being replaced, and I was the person who was the leading that charge, and I wrote the code, and I consulted with all the other teams to make sure that it all worked and all
Mm.
that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And that finally went out, and it's fine. It's
Ooh.
very not very bug or fairly bug free, and it was largely a success, so that's great. But then after that was out, I freed up a little bit more of my time.
Are you saying you're working for Bethesda? Is that your way of saying?
Starfield is great, by the way. I have been playing it.
Oh,
It's
you have been?
incredible. It's incredible.
Ooh,
I'm
don't
a big
tempt me. I might get sucked up into it.
I'm a big sci-fi guy, and I'm also a
Mhm.
big like clean science fiction, like because a lot of the science fiction we get, especially from Bethesda, is like dirty in the sense that, oh, it's after a nuclear holocaust or this civilization collapsed, but they still have
Mm.
technology, like with Horizon Zero Dawn or something. But I want a sci-fi adventure that's like, Star Trek, like everything is pristine, humanity's figured some stuff out, like, all that kind of stuff. So that's what Starfield is, and it's awesome. I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I might get it.
I know you like science fiction, so you will definitely like
I
it.
love but it's a Bethesda game, so I'm just, like, kinda hesitant, but
Yeah, for
I
sure.
keep hearing great things about it so far.
It's less buggy than most Bethesda games. It's got its bugs, it's got its
Mm.
quirks, but it's a great game.
So you're saying $3 billion from Microsoft actually cleaned up a bit of bugs from Bethesda?
Yeah, for sure. I think so. They threw some money
Wow.
at it.
A bit of elbow grease, as you say.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, and then in the beginning of August, I went to Vegas
Nice.
for the largest Street Fighter tournament in the world. It's
Yeah,
called
that's
Evo.
right.
It's like I think the Street Fighter tournament was like 7,000 entrants. All in all, at the
Whoa.
convention, there was like 20,000 people. So yeah, it was
Huh.
a lot of fun. I went with my partner Rachel, and uh there are days where, like, we were together and hanging out, but there were also days where I was at the convention on my own. So again, about that, like,
Mm.
that just exploring on your own and doing stuff, it was a lot of fun, and definitely going to go back next year. And yeah, just busy with life in general. I feel like there was something else I was going to say that I was busy with. I can't. Oh yes, and I'm also taking over more responsibility at work. My team lead is going on leave soon because he's having a kid, so I'm taking over and
Aw.
becoming the team lead for the time that he's gone. So a lot more responsibility and things to do. So yeah, work is keeping me busy. Hobbies are keeping me busy. But I'm glad we finally made time to get to do this again, and hopefully we can do it on a more regular cadence. Just
Yeah.
like force ourselves to get this done because I want to go through this book and the rest of the Sanderson stuff again and whatever else we seem like we are interested in. So hopefully
Mhm.
we can be a little more disciplined with our time and with ourselves.
I agree with you there, but I have a
Yeah.
deep, dark secret that I've been struggling to keep.
Oh, you read ahead, didn't you?
I read so far ahead, I finished the book.
You son of a bitch. Uh, that's okay.
Uh,
That's totally fine. I don't blame you for doing that. So what we can do.
I just couldn't stop myself. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no, it's good. Did you like it?
Yes,
Okay.
for by and large, it's really good. And
Yeah.
when you brought up the fact that Sanderson has like this interesting like ending style that he
The
does, where he jump cuts
Sanderlanche.
the San.
That's what it's called, man. It's got a name.
Okay, it's yeah,
The
that part.
Sanderlanche.
It was jarring at first, but it kept going so that you
Yeah.
were always kept in the loop no matter what. It wasn't too much information. There's one thing I dislike about the ending, or like
Okay.
the reveal of how the ending goes off,
Okay.
as it were.
Okay.
Um, but I there's like reasons as to why, but it's such like a cop out. I don't know. I don't
Mm,
know.
fair enough.
Maybe, I mean, I have my opinions on it, and when you get to that part, we'll talk about it.
How many? I'm just like seeing how many pages are left. Because if you're done, what we could do is do our chapters today, and then I could finish it off, and we could just kind of wrap it up,
Hell yeah.
um, and then move on to the next one. Because after this, it's a short story, and then we get to Mistborn, which is really good. So yeah, we'll talk about that after when we're done this. But yeah, right now the plan, as it is to cover chapters 26 to 31,
Hmm.
which is also the end of part one. And then yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll just read as much as I can, try to finish it off, and then next time we meet, we can just wrap up Elantris and move on to whatever is next.
Hmm.
All right, so let's get into it. You ready?
You know it.
Okay, it's been a long time since you've been to chapter 26, but we're going all the way back.
Woo! Do we do the Wayne's World the doo-doo-doo-doo-doo thing?
When you made that noise, the Wayne's World thing was the first thing that popped into my head, which is amazing.
There you go.
Anyways, so oh yes, a couple interesting things to note actually. So
Mm, okay.
um where were we going? Rachel and I were going somewhere. We were driving somewhere. Oh, to Williams Lake, maybe? Yeah, we drove to Williams Lake to like see her
Uh,
grandfather.
Beautiful
And
Williams Lake.
yeah, Billy Lake. And while we were driving there, instead of like me reading these chapters, I bought the audiobook and we listened to it on the
Oh.
drive because she's reading it as
Mm.
well along with us. So some
Mm.
interesting pronunciation things. Um,
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Sarene is pronounced serene in the book. So
Ah, so it is
yeah,
serene.
I guess.
Okay.
Uh,
Alright, fine.
when they say like that, domai or domi, it is domai. So then they go Eidos domai instead of domi,
I
domi,
see.
whatever that means. The
Right.
god name. And Hrathen, they say Hrathen, which is
Mm,
interesting.
tomato, tomato,
Yeah.
Hrathen, Hrathen.
There were a couple others. If I remember them as we're going through this, I'll like I think the way what is it that Galadon always says, like Sewell or
Colo,
something.
Sule, Colo.
Yeah, I think it's Sule. I think if I remember correctly from the book. Again, it's a while since I've listened to it, but yeah.
Mhm.
Anyways, that was interesting, and listening to the audiobook was actually kind of cool, especially for
Hmm.
the little climax or shocking thing that happened at the end of part 1 in chapter 27.
Ooh.
But we'll get there. So yeah, let's get to chapter 26. This chapter is a Serene chapter, and he is leaving Elantris after doing one of her food deliveries. She's having a conversation with Ash, and Ash is informing her that Spirit is one of the leaders of the gangs. They don't know how he came to power. They don't know who he rules over, but they had this sort of suspicion because of the meeting that they had earlier, the one where they got someone to impersonate one of the gang leaders, and Karada, the other gang leader, was there. The woman who went to the palace with Raoden. I'm
Mhm.
saying this to refresh my own memory because it's been a while since I've been in here. Um, so yeah, they're having a conversation about it. They're just talking about sort of the politics of Elantris. Serene doesn't want to get too close to Spirit. She kind of considers him like a quote unquote opponent. This is just from her previous experience in politics. She knows how to like work the court and that kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
her main concern with the revelation that Spirit is a gang leader is that not everyone is getting food, that Spirit is withholding the food only for his followers, and other people are left starving. And this later actually does come to a head, but in later chapters, yeah,
Yeah, the reason for that is because the people that he's withholding it from is Sheor's group, which
exactly,
is
yeah,
the animalistic side of Elantris or group. I don't know.
yeah, they're
Tribe,
yeah,
maybe?
yeah. And
I don't
Shaor's
know.
the little girl, right?
The girl with
That's
the
what,
golden hair,
yeah, with the
Tellerese
wig,
cursed daughter.
Telri's daughter.
Yes,
Thank you. Okay,
yeah,
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 it's been a while.
yeah.
Okay,
It's been a while. It's been a
yeah, we got to
while.
not take a break this long again because I'm trying to
It's
refresh
been a
everything here.
while. Yeah.
So the next scene is Sarene, Andel, and Luco. They're watching the women of the court practice fencing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Luco actually has access to King Iadon's income figures, so it's a known, like it's all public between the lords how much everybody makes. So the king's is as well because that determines your stature, your place in the court. Um, and they're talking about how his finances have recovered. And we also learn that Edon, the lord who was at risk of losing his status because of his low income, has actually fled the country.
Yep.
They theorize that he went to Duladel, but they don't actually know. And they also make jokes about him becoming a farmer because he's not a lord anymore, and they don't think the people of the Duladel Republic will really respect Arelon titles.
Ooh, correction. It's not Duel del Republic anymore. It's been
That's
taken
right. It's under
over.
the Empire. Yeah, you're right.
Or
Yeah,
Empire.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good call. So Serene is also chastising. So she's watching the women fence, and then she
Mm-hmm.
chastises them because they're all noble women, and they're doing this to sort of show their strength, but they're not accompanying her to Elantris, which is another show of strength. So she kind of uses that to segue. And there is one woman, Terena, who did go with her, but she's the only one, and none of the others have done it.
He
Um,
is Ahen's daughter, the obese guy,
Tarena? Yeah,
obese
I
lord.
think she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I can't
Mhm.
recall exactly, but yeah, because the obese guy, what is his name? I can't remember
Ahen,
his name.
yeah.
Ahan. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, sorry, you did say
Ahan.
it.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, you're right. He because he went with I think his wife and his daughter, if I remember correctly, in one previous excursion to Elantris.
That escapes my memory.
That's fine.
But I know he was there because he's complaining about. But there was a scene where he was getting his clothes dirty, and Serene says, "Oh, why don't you
Yes,
wear like less fancy clothes?"
he's like, I
And
don't
he
have less
retorts like, "Oh,
fancy
I don't
clothes.
know. This is the
It's like
this
you
is the
with your fur
lowest I
coat and your
have.
mirror sunglasses.
I shan't go near McDonald's. It's simply the paupers go."
Oh God. Oh,
Oh my goodness. Why are
okay.
you doing this to me? Oh my god. You make it
It's
sound
fun.
like
It's
I.
fun to egg you on.
Ugh.
Okay. So yeah. So yeah, she's chastising all of these women. She also has a realization, like a sort of internal dialogue here, that she's repeating the same mistakes that she made in Teod, where she's, overbearing, powerful, but that leads to her being respected but not liked or
Yep.
pursued romantically, which is obviously off the table now because she's still technically married, but she's not positioning herself to be liked. She's positioning herself
Mhm.
to be powerful and respected, which again rears its head later in the chapter when she has a little confrontation with the king, but we will get there. So while they're all talking, Tyan shows up, Hunky K, and he's concerned about Serene's treks into Elantris. And they
Mhm.
talk about it a little bit, but she kind of brushes it off, and the conversation kind of quickly shifts to her asking Tyan why he left Teod and the disagreement that he
Ooh.
had with her father. But he quickly, your smile is so telling that you obviously know more.
Can't say.
Oh my god. Anyways,
Yeah. But it's those classic, like you mentioned before, like those classic like throwaway lines that Sanderson does where he's like,
mhm,
"Oh, this like thing that happened." Everyone's like, "Oh
mhm.
yeah, whatever." And then like moves on. And then later on it's revealed like, "Oh my god, that's what happened."
Yeah. Wait
So,
till oh my god, dude. Wait till we get to Stormlight. There are just like there are just like throwaway lines that like have such huge implications. Anyways,
mhm.
um we'll get there.
Well, this one is not a huge one. It's just more like, "Oh, interesting.
I
Cool
know, but
fact."
like it's like take this concept and just like magnify it 1,000 times, and then that's
Oh
what happens
boy.
in later books.
All right, okay.
There's lots to unpack. Anyways, so yeah, he Kyan doesn't really give an answer. He just doesn't want to talk about it, so he kind of
Mm,
brushes it off. He's like, these some things are better left unknown or unsaid. Um, so Serene is still thinking about Spirit. She does respect him in from a political point of view that he was able to gain power, but she
mhm.
also doesn't like him. She also notes that he never really seems annoyed that she's fulfilling his requests with useless items. Like there was one where I think he asked for steel, but he got a crate full of nails, like stuff like
Yep.
that. He never really complains about it, and she notes that that's a little odd, or that he's not down about it, so he's finding a use for these things. Um,
Which will be
and
seen later on.
yes,
Mhm.
yeah, that's true. And then Deora, Kyan's wife, is also there, her aunt. And I only have a very short summary of this. It's like Deora, I don't know why assumes that Serene has feelings for Shuden, but that's what the conversation is. She's like, "Oh, you obviously have feelings for this man." And she's like, "No, I don't." And that's basically it. Um,
I think what Diora misinterprets it. I think she sees the signs of like a lonely or like a aching broken heart,
mhm.
but she assumes that Serene is like going after Shuden, but Shuden doesn't notice. But it's actually
Mm,
Serene missing the fact that, you know, this prince that she never met, Raoden,
yeah.
is like gone from her life. And when you said like when she remembers like how much of a political figure she's becoming and
Mhm.
having less of a chance of having a partner for the sake of or for love and more for like political gain, she's like
Mm.
missing the interaction she had with Raoden, and she like remembers in that moment. And so
Okay.
she's just like looking at
Yeah, that
Shuden
makes sense.
in the girls, but there when she looks at Serene, she misinterprets the fact that Serene is looking at Shuden, but Shuden's actually Serene's remembering Raoden, that potential.
Right, the
of
potential of that
being with
relationship.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That's interesting. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a
Mm,
deeper than I got out of it. I just thought it was a kind of a throwaway thing, but yeah, no, that makes sense. So that ends chapter 26. Chapter 27 is a Hrathen chapter, and this is also the end of part 1.
mhm,
So it's a pretty short one. Hrathen's at his desk, just sort of reading about the recovery of Iadon's finances. He's also reflecting that Delof is slowly seizing power of the church, the chapel, whatever it's called.
mhm,
It is a slow, like he's doing it slowly, but he knows that it's inevitable that he's going to lose power of this of the chapel to him, and it's also even some nobles who are looking to convert are going to Delof rather than Hrathen for that conversion. So he's
mm,
becoming the more respected figure. Uh, and adding on to this, he's also losing his faith. And that's something that's kind of shaking him to the core. So he's sitting there in his armor, and he just gets down on his knees and starts praying, trying
mhm,
to search for his faith and search for solutions to his problems. As he's doing this, he gets a knock on the door, a little bit interrupted by one of the under priests who delivers a package. And this is the package of poison from Fortin, who was way back. I don't even remember what chapter this was, but it's the person that he communicated with via Seon.
mhm.
Um, and said like, yeah, I can get these together for you, I'll deliver them to you, it's going to be a while. So I guess it's been a while because it showed up. And at the end of this chapter, Hrathen is looking at the vial of poison. He reflects that he wanted to use it for Delof, and then he pops the cap and downs it himself. End of part 1. So that was a really cool ending. when we were
Mhm, that
driving
was
in the
really good.
when we were driving in the car, Rachel audibly gasped when that happened, which I thought was funny. Which is, it's definitely shocking because you're like, holy crap, is he dead now?
Yeah. Well, I remember that moment realizing that, oh, the vials are for poisoning the king or Sarene because Sarene's in the way or something.
Mm-hmm.
But when it was revealed that Hrathen, I'm going to say Hrathen, you can at me in the comments below or
Hrathen.
email at another for the books dot at gmail.com and say, Alex, you suck. It's not pronounced this way. It's that way. Um, it was a surprise that he downed it himself. And
Yes.
so I don't. Well, I mean, I know. Well, I mean, we're gonna find out soon anyway. But I don't think it's gonna be a poison anyway. So at that moment, it's just like, what's it gonna be? He's not gonna kill himself.
Interesting. Yeah, I
Yeah.
I knew he wasn't going to be dead, but I was just
Mm,
like, what's going to happen from this?
yeah.
So in the just as a little aside, so I have my notes, and I also have the chapter summaries from coppermine.net, which is like the Wikipedia of Sanderson stuff.
Mm.
And at the end of this chapter, there is a wrap up, a summary of part 1 that Brandon
Mm.
Sanderson wrote. And the one
Oh, he
takeaway that
wrote.
he wrote like a little, like, 500-word thing on like, this
Oh,
is the
okay.
kind of behind the scenes of the part 1. Like, this is why I named it this.
Oh, gotcha.
And yeah, so like the part 1 is called The Shadow of Elantris. And it makes sense because, or if you recall in the beginning, each of the 3 chapters in the beginning, Elantris looms over all of the characters and all of the stuff that he uh all of the characters have this, like, they look at Elantris and it casts a shadow. It's like lording over them essentially. And the book title was actually meant to be The Spirit of Elantris. That's what the book was meant to be called. And then it was shortened to Elantris. And Spirit of
Mm.
Elantris, I think, is the name of part 2 or part 3. I'm not entirely sure. I got to pull up my book here, actually.
Here, I got my book in front of me.
Part 2 is The Call of Elantris. And I think part
So I think the
3
30 is the
is
spirit of
Spirit of
Elantris.
Elantris, which is what the original book title was actually meant to be, which
Mm.
is very interesting.
Nope, can
And
confirm.
you can confirm?
Pulling it up here.
Oh, there you go. I see it. Yeah, Spirit of Elantris. Nice.
There you go.
And he also talks about how this section of the book is actually his personal favorite. He likes this, the Shadow of
Ooh.
Elantris. Yeah. And I'm trying to see if there. Oh, yes, he does talk about how, and I can relate to this too, how fantasy is a slow starting genre. And like with the book that we're reading for our book club, aside from this, the original book called Malice by John Gwynne, that is a very slow starting book. I think
Oof.
someone did like the statistics on it, and in the first like 100 pages it introduces 70 characters, and it's just all them walking around talking and like
Was it
set up.
70 characters?
Yeah, it was
Oh my
crazy.
god. Oh my god. Well, we were complaining there was so many characters being
Yeah,
thrown around and introduced. Like, who are these guys?
this
Like,
is
and
why
gals? What the
when
heck?
we got to the end of the book, one of the guys who I was like talking about the last chapters, and he's like, I don't even know who this guy is. So we had to like backtrack and talk about, okay, this is what happened with him and this is where he's from, and then it clicks. But yeah, fantasy is just like that. It's a slow starting genre, and Rachel is reading these books by Sarah J Maas called a, a court of roses and thorns or something. I can't remember exactly what it is.
And if you're
But
there.
it's also fantasy, and it also is like a slow burn, but again, she
Mm,
loves it. So it's like, I find that as these slow burn books, you learn who these characters are and you experience their lives like before the turmoil, during the turmoil, and
mm,
after. And it just like builds a stronger bond than like a one shot book, like a Murakami book or something like that. Like, not to say that, Murakami books are bad. I love Murakami books, but like you don't
mm.
have as much of a bond with a lot of the characters. So yeah, pretty cool that we get this little insight into the end of part one. And yeah, that takes us into chapter 28, which is the start of part two, called The Call of Elantris.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see how that sort of plays into the theme of this section, but we'll see. And this section must be a lot shorter than the first, because the first section is over half of the book. Part one is like 300 or 400 pages.
Hmm.
And there's
And
only,
part three's even shorter too.
yeah, for sure. There's only like, I think 550 or 600 pages of the book.
Mm,
Anyways, chapter 28 is a Raoden chapter. So Raoden is in a new part of a new library that was discovered. Karada found it, actually.
mm,
And only Karada, Galadon, and Raoden know about it, because Raoden wants to avoid the book boiling that happened before. He doesn't want anybody to know about this stuff. And he immediately goes to the books that are about Aeon Dor, and he spends a
hmm.
lot of time studying it, trying to figure it out. And he does learn a lot about it, about the formulas, about how it works, but he still can't get it to actually work for him. So there's still something that doesn't work. You smirk every time I say something almost.
I don't want to spoil it.
Now you know how this is how I'm
I
going to
don't
be
want to
when
do
we get
that.
to any of the other books, which is so funny.
Uh, but it's like the reveal. I'm not going to say explicitly what, but it is like very satisfying about the reveal because it makes sense. And I
Okay,
won't explain why, but it just
no.
makes sense. When you come across it, you're just like, oh my god, of course. It's
So
so simple.
a couple things on that. One,
Okay.
that is obviously Sanderson being a great writer, but that
Mm,
is two, I think, not a byproduct, but a benefit of a hard magic system. So like a hard magic system has like rules, and you have to
okay.
abide by these rules. So like if a hero
Right.
gets into, and I'm just spitballing, I could be wrong about what the reveal is, because I don't know. But like
Mm,
a hard magic system is like, if the heroes get into trouble, they have to use the rules of the system to get out of it. They have to play within that
yeah,
sandbox.
pretty
Whereas
much.
a soft magic system like Harry Potter is like, oh no, he's going to get killed by Voldemort. He just summons all the power that he needs, and he magically waves his wand around, and he gets a nose, and then he
Excuse me, it's the power of love that saves
exactly
Harry. Come on,
exactly that's that is a
love magic
soft
power
magic
in the
system.
world.
And I find that the reveals are less satisfying, at least for someone like me who is a
Mm,
programmer. I like it when puzzle pieces slot together.
yeah.
And it's really cool when someone can do that with storytelling. So yeah, anyways, we'll see.
Well,
That's just me spitballing.
well, then, like, I can add 2 cents on or my agreement on that
Sure,
take
yeah.
of like a hard, I guess you call it, or I never thought about it. Well, like actually having a magic system
Mm,
compared to Harry Potter, which it's just like you have magic and it's bullshit, whether you can make up spells on your own or just believe
yes.
in yourself enough that you just prevent yourself from dying or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's fun when there is like a set rule set that everybody has to follow. And
Yes.
so whoever is adept and clever enough to understand that rule set succeeds.
Hmm.
It's sometimes their own downfall when they start getting too reliant on their abilities and they don't really start understanding anything else about it or being more creative. That someone else
Hmm.
comes in and sweeps them under their feet. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And usually like the heroes when they succeed in like battles in a hard magic system, it's because they use the system more creatively,
Mm.
which
Mhm.
is really cool.
Mhm.
Anyways, yeah, so chapter 28, yes, so they're in the library reading the books about Aeon Dor. They don't have a solution for it. Galadon also notes that Ian, Raoden's
Mhm.
previous Seon, is still hanging out around him, and he finds it a little creepy because normally Seons just avoid people and like float off in different directions, meander. But Ian seems to be attracted to Raoden still.
Yeah.
So
So it's just like that magic it gives you a hint of like that magic residue. The Andor is
something,
still like connecting between the
yeah,
two.
there's something that's
Yeah.
connecting them. Yeah.
Yeah. And we can go
S-
back to our own opinions on what's happening behind the scenes or with the magic itself is that it feels like it's like there's like a clog or like a faucet wasn't turned on. I mean, terrible analogy, but
uh-huh.
I think was it you or I, one of the two of us called it out where it's like, oh, it's not gone completely. It's just it's either like subdued some way or
Yeah.
redirected somehow
Yeah.
because Raven is able to draw stuff in the air with Andor techniques. The
Hmm.
Seance still alive, but it's things aren't complete. Like even their Elantrian bodies, they're not dead. They're just in a transition of repair. It feels
Hmm.
like.
Yeah, it just hasn't
Yeah.
completed yet. Like it's missing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have enough energy to actually break through and have all of the
Mm.
power that it used to have.
Yeah.
So yeah, Raoden, after this, they leave the library. Raoden meets with Saolin, his I guess battle chief or whatever. He was one of the
His de facto guard, honor guard, or something like that.
yeah, he was one of
Yeah.
the leaders of the army for Andel before he
Hmm.
was taken by the Raod. He suggests that they need to do an assault on Sheor's men because they are losing this war of attrition. There are constant attacks
Hmm.
coming from Sheor's men. They have more men. They can't defend everything. Raoden agrees to this, but reluctantly. So he's not happy with the decision
Hmm.
because essentially, if he succeeds, people die, just not his men. And if he
Hmm.
fails, people die, but they're his men, including Saolin. So it's really a lose lose, but he doesn't have another solution for it. So later on, there is a food delivery. Sarene is there, and Raoden goes to meet her like he does every time. She can tell that he's a little bit nervous, though, and eventually he does take her aside and say, like, something might happen today. Um,
Yes.
and Serene's concerned, but she's also trying to determine if Raoden is playing a game or what game he could be playing. And then before she can get too far with that, the attack does begin. So
The
Shear's men,
shares men.
yes, they
Yeah.
attack the caravan. Luckily, Aendel is there. He accompanied Serene that day, and he always carries his sword with him, even against tradition. So he
Hmm.
starts chopping dudes down. A lot of the nobles scream and run for the gates. They're very
Beast.
close to the gates because this all happens in the courtyard. Sorry, go ahead.
Mm. No, I'm just saying Amblin's pretty cool.
Yeah, Aendel is cool
He's a
for
beast.
sure. Yeah, the old warrior.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so yeah, nobles are screaming, running for the gate. They're very close to the gate. One of Sheor's men gets wounded by Aendel in the attack, and he's
Mm.
just sort of laying there, almost becoming one of those Oed, the dregs, or whatever you call them. But he mutters that he just wanted some food. And then this is when Serene feels completely betrayed by Spirit. So she
Yeah.
realizes he is not sharing the food with everyone, which he isn't, and she turns on Spirit and talks him down. And Spirit doesn't really fight back. He agrees with a lot of it. He's like, yeah, I am terrible.
Well,
Like he's trying his
he
best, but
knows. Yeah.
yeah, he knows. Yeah, for sure, he knows what he's doing, and he's trying, but he's not succeeding as he thought he would. um
Mm.
and as this wraps up, like Aendel fights them back. Serene leaves as the attack is happening. Raoden remembers that Saolin is part of this, and he goes and finds him, and he finds him wounded. He's completely
Yeah.
sort of lost his mind. He's become one of the Hoed, and yeah, this really hits him hard. He like cradles him as he's just sort of lying there with the wound, and yeah, it's a really sad sort of end to that chapter, and like presumably at this point an end to the relationship between Raoden and Serene. But we'll see
Hmm.
what happens in later chapters.
Spoilers.
What?
Can't tell you.
Say spoilers?
Well, I don't know.
No, you can't tell me.
I can't tell you.
No, you can't. Anyways,
I can't. I won't.
chapter 29. Um, so this is a Sarene chapter. So
Mm.
she's sad because she was right about Spirit, or she's at least convinced she was right. Her and
But she
Ash are
didn't
having.
want to be.
She didn't want to be right.
Like,
No,
she
absolutely
was
not.
like, yeah, I think it was revealed, like, in during that time that she enjoyed interaction with Ray.
Yeah, she
I'll
was
say Raoden, we could say Spirit.
whatever.
They're
Yeah,
one
it's
and the same.
yeah.
But, yeah, that she was having, like, a banter of sorts with him, that she
Hmm.
actually enjoyed chatting with him
Yeah.
and having a bit of, like, this rivalry, um, but she was disappointed that in the end, it was just another warmonger, another tyrant in Elantris
Yes.
that she was trying to see better of, but realized that, it's a lost cause.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely sad for her. So she's having a conversation with Ash about it. Ash is concerned about her. Like, are you okay? She's fine. But she does believe that Raoden was withholding food from his followers, which not his followers. Sorry, those who aren't his followers, which he was doing,
Mm.
but for more of a noble cause. But she's also mourning the work, like the results of the work that she's done, because of this attack, the perception of the Elantrians is going to change. People aren't
Yeah.
going to remember the small interactions that they had with Elantrians and the humanity that they saw in them in giving them food. They're just going to remember that eventually they got attacked. These people are savages. Um, and while she's thinking about this, she's in the whatever those are, the carts. What are they called? That they, like the horse-drawn
Carriages?
carriage. There we go. I just couldn't think of the word.
Excuse me?
I could not think of the word. Um,
Okay.
yeah. While she's in there,
Mm.
she hears a group of warriors heading into Elantris, and they're going into Elantris to attack the Elantrians. So Sarene is rushing to the king's chambers to try and confront him about this attack that's happening. Um, Iadon has wanted to destroy Elantris for a long time. He has a long-standing vendetta against Elantris, and this gives him his excuse. So he can use duty as an excuse to attack them because members of his court were attacked by Elantris, so he's going to take him out.
Yeah. As his
Sarene,
right as king or whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly. His
exactly. Yeah,
duty.
that could be argued for sure.
Mm.
But Sarene kind of loses it.
Yeah.
She fights back. She threatens to expose him. She talks him down, berates him essentially in front of other people who are there. It really shakes Iadon's confidence. So he kind of withers as a result. He succumbs to her threats and repeals the order. She passes the what is it, the writ to one of the guards, and is like, you have to run and take this, tell them to stop. She sends Ash as well to fly over, tell them to stop, orders are coming for you to come
Mhm.
back. And as she's leaving the king's room, he's got his head in his hands and he's quietly sobbing. So
Yeah.
she really like tore into
Broke.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because no one stood up to him at all, I don't think.
No,
So this is like
no,
a first time.
no one has ever stood up to a monarch, and this does come back later in the chapter. So um after this exchange has happened, Sarene heads back to Elantris to ensure that all of the orders were followed.
Mm.
Um, and so she's standing on top of the wall of Elantris, just like making sure that the soldiers are leaving, all that kind of stuff. And she sees uh, an Elantrian who's been sort of cut down or wounded, just sort of laying there, writhing, one of the Hoed. And that's when it clicks for her how Elantrians suffer. Like it all sort of comes together. Like they don't need food. They don't die. They're already dead, quote unquote.
Mm.
And they just continue to suffer. So it's a big realization for her. And she also, from the top of the wall, sees Raoden clutching the body of Saolin. And she tries to be angry at him, but she sees sort of like the humanity again, in that he's mourning his friend.
Mm.
And at the end of this, she just sort of resolves that, her experiment, this thing that she was doing, trying to go into Elantris and feed them and let other people see the humanity of them, is essentially over.
Yeah. It's her bid against Hrathen to try and take over the city,
Yep.
or I would say Arelon in general, in K
Yes.
specifically because it's the seat of the
Yes.
kingdom itself.
And against, more than against Wraithen, against the Empire, the Fjordell Empire, right? She's
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess so. I think. Wait, why though? I thought
because
it was
that's what
specifically
Wraithen
about.
represents. Like
Okay, I thought
Wraithen
it was a
represents the
direct
Empire.
challenge to Hrathen.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
So yeah,
I mean,
after
we're both right, I guess.
we're not wrong.
We're not wrong.
So yeah, after this sort of defeat for
Mm,
her, she goes back to one of the only places of refuge she has in K, which is her uncle's house, Uncle Kyan's
hmm
house.
Hunky
She
Hank.
Hunky K.
Hunky K. Sorry.
It's all
Whoops.
good. You were thinking of Simpsons.
I was.
Yeah,
Damn it.
Unky Herb or something. Was
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's funny.
Oh, sorry. Continue.
It's all good. So as she arrives there, Lucal is like animated and telling a story.
Mm,
For the next few pages, you think it's the story of the Battle of Elantris, but it's not.
it's
It's the battle that
Serene.
it's the battle that happened in the king's chambers, and
Serene ripping eyed on a new one, like a
yeah,
disciplining a child for
yeah,
throwing fire at ants or something like
yeah,
that.
exactly. He talks about how bad it is, and Serene's a little surprised that word has spread already, but he's like, everyone in the town could hear you, like obviously joking, but like that's how
Yeah.
loud she was and how animated and upset she was. And Kyan makes the remark that they now have to deal with a monarch that was reprimanded in public, so they don't know how this is going to play out, how he's
Yeah.
going to fight back essentially once he's been able to sort of recover from what happened.
What drastic actions he's going to take to maintain his grip, I guess, as a
Yeah,
king, so
exactly,
he's
and
not
maintain
taken
his
as a joke
respect.
anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So Ash also returns and informs her that the guards have gone home. And then
Hmm.
at the very end of this chapter, Shuden arrives and he's like, "You will not believe who the Shaod took last night." And that's the end of chapter 29,
Yeah. Uh,
which is cool. That would be like the ending of like an anime episode or something. That little cliffhanger.
oh,
Um,
that would be actually.
it
It kind
would.
of. It was like so. It was really good. It was really
Yeah,
good.
it was.
Yeah.
As a quick aside, speaking of that, because I know you watch the show
Mm.
or you might read the manga, I've been catching up on season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen, and really good,
Oh
really
my
really good.
goodness, it's so good.
Yeah,
I've
they're
not
doing
read
a
the
great job.
manga.
Oh, you haven't?
No, this is
Okay.
the only. It's the only. Oh, because anime manga are separate. So do I if I say the only form of manga? Because it's not right. Because I don't read the manga. Only
Mm,
form. It's the only anime I watch that I've not
read the manga.
read
Of.
the manga for.
Read the source
It's
material.
the source material, and it's different. It's jarring, and this is a set aside from the main discussion,
Yeah,
ladies
it's
and
all good.
gentlemen.
Yeah,
Um, I whenever I stick with a manga and I read through it and I try to watch the anime, I hate watching the anime
me too. Yeah,
because I already know what's going to happen,
yeah, I
and
hate
the
it.
anime is not very good. So I'm just like, whatever. I'm just going to
Mm,
continue reading and just stick with that.
yeah,
But with Jujutsu Kaisen, because it looks so good, I didn't read the source material at all, or didn't know it existed. It took me
mm,
by surprise. Like, okay, I'll just give the anime a chance. Maybe I'll have a different go at it or mentality at it.
yeah,
And I don't even want to read the manga because I know I'll just spoil everything for myself.
yeah. I did that with Attack on Titan, and I still haven't
Mm,
watched the end of Attack on Titan because I read it like years ago.
yeah.
I did that with My Hero Academia. I've stopped reading the manga because I like watching the anime.
Okay.
And yeah, with Jujutsu Kaisen, I was just like, nah, I'm not gonna read it. And
Mm.
yeah, the latest season, like I don't know if you've watched it, but the latest season they do
The
a bit of
first episode of it.
backstory on
Mm.
Gojo and
Oh,
like other stuff.
Gojo and his.
It's
Yeah,
really
go ahead.
good. It's very very good. Especially
It's
for a
so
shonen
good.
anime, the storytelling is really nice.
I feel
And
like it's more young adult than it is shonen.
yeah, for sure.
I
It's
don't
not
know.
as I mean, I think it's published in Shonen Jump and it's like considered the next shonen along with Chainsaw Man, is that it?
Oh, Chainsaw Man is not a shonen. That is I don't know. I don't know what to
Yeah.
call Chainsaw Man.
I don't know what the qualifier is to become a shonen. I'm not sure, but
I thought Shonen was still. I thought One Piece was still the reigning champ of Shonen.
I mean, Naruto's still around technically. And My
And
Hero
Bleach, I guess, is
Academia
getting
is,
its
yeah, Bleach is getting back. And My Hero
yeah.
Academia is like the big one. Anyways, we're
True.
going way off tangent right now. This is not an anime podcast.
Subscribe to our Patreon to listen to an anime
Yeah,
episode.
that's right. We'll do anime reactions if people subscribe to the Patreon. um,
Oh God.
Chapter 31. This is the last chapter for tonight. A
Hmm.
very short one, actually. Hrathen chapter. So we find out that he's not dead.
Yeah.
He's just been, I guess, taken by the Shaod. So is that what the poison did, or is it a random coincidence that he took the poison, was going to die, and then the Shaod took over and saved his life? We won't
Don't
know.
know.
Alex knows, but we don't know. Uh,
It's good. It caught me by surprise about what was going on behind the scenes. And again, it made sense that this was something that would have been done.
right,
So maybe it is a mark of Sanderson being like a good author where it suspended my disbelief for a moment to be like, oh, what, like I was stuck in the moment, wasn't thinking about what's happening. And then when I
right.
read ahead, I was like, oh my God, that's right. Duh. That would make sense. But I can't tell you
Cool.
since
Well,
I
I
didn't
look
read that
forward
far.
to it then. So yeah, Hrathen chapter.
Hmm.
He's been transformed by the Shaod. He's
Hmm.
in the chapel, and he's not really hiding what happened to him from anyone.
He's
Um,
yelling out loud. He's praying audibly,
yep.
but he
Uh,
does kick ass.
the Karathi priests are sort of doing the ritual. They lead him through the city.
Mm,
He does also see the guards leaving, so like they pass each other through the city as this is happening,
mm,
and he does have to wait with the priests to a certain time that they let new Elantrians in.
mm.
Eventually, that time does come. He enters the city. He kind of discards his food, drops to his knees, starts praying to Jadith to save him, and just does not stop. And that's just
Hmm.
essentially the end. That entire chapter. It's him just, excuse
Oh,
me, getting to Elantris, going on his knees, praying, and then yeah, that chapter ends.
does he not? Or does he not kick ass in this one?
No, he does not.
Oh, it is literally 2 pages. Okay,
Yeah.
well, you'll see him kick butt soon enough.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Jeez.
Whose butt? You'll never know until you read ahead. Wink.
Read and find out.
Re- Tune in next time on another one for the book. Or read the book. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's a good book.
No, tune in next time. Read the book too, but tune in next time.
Okay,
And
fine.
anyways, so yeah, it's unknown right now how many chapters we're going to cover in the next book or in the next episode. I'll read as much as I can.
It's about a solid third quarter left,
Yeah, I
so
think it's like a 200 pages or something.
it goes
About
by quickly. So
yeah, no, yeah, I'm sure it does. So I will get to reading. I will catch up. The next episode, depending how much I read, we'll cover that,
mhm.
or we might just finish the book off and move on to Mistborn, which is going to be great. So yeah, um, stay tuned. I can't tell you how many chapters will be on the next episode because somebody read ahead because somebody
Want to know who
pointing
they
at
were?
me was too busy and we haven't done this podcast in like a
That's
month.
right. That's right. It's your
So
fault,
it's
Mike.
both of our faults. We're both at fault here.
Okay, what? you
You
you're
for
the
being too curious and me for being
Ugh,
too busy.
fine. I'll accept my curiosity.
There we
Jeez.
go. So yeah,
Mm,
that's it for this one.
yeah.
And we'll see how far we get for next time. And yeah, I'm loving the book so far. We can't
Mhm.
really theorize as to where things are going.
You can tell me
So
what you think right now, and I can give you my impression of that moment. I can
no,
do
because
that
that's
for
going to be
you.
spoilers. That little smirk that you have, or the little face that you make if I get
Go ahead
something
and spoil
wrong.
my just
You should be wearing a
just put
mask
them
while we
on
do
my
this
shirt.
podcast.
You can see it
No,
in
it's
my
fine.
eyes just gleaming.
No theories. We'll read and we'll find out
No theory
and we'll
crafting.
report back for the next episode.
Okay, well, I'll say one thing. I
Okay.
really like how the story itself is coming along like nicely. It is
Hmm.
pretty consistent, and it doesn't feel like things are um like it doesn't feel like something's holding every protagonist back. I'm saying Hrathen is a protagonist because he's
Yep,
pretty much a
he
protagonist. I'm
is
going to say
for
he's an
sure.
antagonist because
It's
every other
gray.
character has. It's kind of great. It's
Yeah.
kind of his. It's kind of the whole thing. The whole theme of the book is,
Hmm.
where does that toe, step over to good and evil, right?
Right. Yes.
So, like we saw it with the Elantrians, right? Even people who are struggling in that city and people who are desperate to consume Shaer's
Hmm.
men and whoever else, because they're just consumed themselves by madness and pain and stuff like that. And you look at
Hmm.
the city of Kay and their denizens, and of course the lords and ladies, where they are vying for favors and trying to make sure that they're in the good graces of the king, but also the king isn't doing a great job because he's not really good as a king. He's
Oh
just a
no, he is
businessman.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, it's really good. I'm enjoying it so far. The reveal for Hrathen at this point is like I would say is like a really good pivot point to how the rest of the story will take place, because this will
Mm.
cause everything else to fall like down. That's what I'm good.
Oh,
Yeah. I
interesting.
that's my take when you read through it. Maybe you'll have a different opinion on it, but I feel like at this point when Hrathen is in the city, when he's afflicted by the Shaod,
Hmm.
this is where things just accelerate to the end.
Yeah. So that lines up with what I know of Sanderson's books, that like it builds up quite a bit, and
Mm.
like there's a certain point where like if you were to graph sort of like the rising action, like how we in school we had the rising action, then the climax, and the denouement. Um
Oh no.
his books would be a much more exponential curve. Like it ramps up quickly.
Mm.
And that Sanderlanche comes, and then
Sanderlanche.
it's pretty
So,
exciting.
dude, come on, everybody, you're gonna learn Sanderlanche.
So yeah, I think that's enough
God
for
damn it.
tonight. Let's just call it there.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
need
Would
to
you
get a
say?
beer next time we do this. I'm
I mean,
jealous of the beer
that
you've
was
been drinking.
oof. Just I wasn't taunting you, but maybe you should
I
have
know.
another one with the books.
Oh boy, I knew you were gonna do it. Is that? By the way, is that a trench cup glass?
It is.
Oh, look at that, representing.
Hell yeah. I love
Yeah,
these. They're so good. And I would
yeah.
say Trench is like one of my favorite breweries,
It's
microbreweries.
good. Yeah, it's very good for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. There's another one up here called Deadfall, which is also quite nice.
There's another one? I thought there was
Yeah.
just two.
No,
Crossroads and
there's
Trench.
no, there's a new one called Deadfall, which is really good. Yeah,
Ooh, we
we
should go
can go
there
when
when I
you
come
come here.
visit.
Yeah, when you come visit, we'll go.
Hell yeah. Where is it though in the city?
It's in the Nicholson Center. So if you're,
What?
yeah,
It is?
yeah, it's a very random spot. You'll see. Well, I'll
That is
take you.
such a random place to have a brewery.
I know, right?
Ah, well, I can't wait to go visit it.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, like he says, I've been another one for the books, and
If I ruined the bit. I'm kind of rusty, everybody. I'm sorry.
it's
This
all
that
good.
was supposed to be like the send off.
We'll get our
Give
groove back.
me another one. Throw another one. I'm batting up.
Yeah, that's it, and we'll see what happens next
One for
time.
the books.
Oh God. Okay. Bye, everybody. See ya.
Bye.